How did you turn your life around? I decided to stop comparing myself to my brother and try to focus on the improvable. When I was a teenager I was homeless. A lot of places wouldn't hire me because I had no experience or interview clothes. I went to the Board of Education and begged the HR lady to give me a chance at any job. I told her I'd scrub the school with a toothbrush if they paid me. They made me a general sub for clerical. I took a call for one of the bad neighborhood schools that some others turned down. Walked across town to get there every day. I had to start walking at 4:30 a.m. to be on time. I wore dress clothes from a church mission that were way too big, but I did my best. After 4 months they gave me a long-term position. Then a permanent one with benefits. I saved up enough for an apartment. Finding a landlord okay with renting to an 18-year-old homeless girl was hard, and started college. I haven't been homeless a day since in the last 15 years. I even have a house now. I asked for help. Quit a job that wasn't making me happy. Went back to college. I quit drinking when I was 24, went back to college when I was 26 and graduated at 29. I took my last drink of alcohol 9 days ago. Reading more and using social media less. I'm almost at the point where I can just delete Reddit. Almost. After being laid off from my last factory job, I suddenly found myself on the streets of Toronto in the early 1990s with a grade 9 education. No money. No friends. No job references. And not really any family. So what did I do? Found an unbelievably dirty, crappy crawl space basement apartment. Applied for welfare. Stopped drinking and smoking. And anything else unhealthy. Got a gym membership and went 4 hours a day. Jogged 5 miles every morning, weather permitting. Enrolled in an adult high school. Ignored everyone and everything that would be a distraction. Got my high school diploma with honors in 2 years. Applied for university. Got in. Moved to a different city and spent 4 years getting my BA Hun in philosophy, because I like to think and solve problems. Applied to a graduate program. And spent the next 10 years getting my MA and my PhD. Then spent the next several years as a professor making good money and having lots of fun. Won't say how things are going now because I got cursed with poor health etc. And so am no longer working. I'll just say that I am happy now and know that I would have ended up either dead or in jail if I hadn't done what I did all those years ago. Sooner or later everyone has got to take their life seriously. Edit. Holy smoke. Went and took a nap and woke up to see 10,000 upvotes. Thank you all so much for the awards and comments. It's going to take me a while to go through them all. Edit 2. Read through the comments and tried to answer some of them. God bless all of you for the nice things you said. Stopped caring about things I can't control and put all my energy into the things I can. It sounds hard. But there's actually a lot you can control and that doesn't leave much room for the other shit. I grew up in South Florida during the beginning of the opioid craziness. From 2006 to 2011 things got pretty bad. I'm 2011 I sold my last possession. My car for $800, packed 2 suitcases and bought a bus ticket to Denver. Never been to Denver. Didn't know anyone there but weed was starting to be legal and I didn't want to miss out. I detoxed on the bus going from Florida to Colorado. Do not recommend. I got lucky and ended up sitting next to a guy that was a grower and needed help in his garden. I didn't know it at the time but on the Greyhound he said I had an 8-hour job interview. Got to Denver and he really helped me get established. Within 2 months I was sleeping on his couch and learning how to grow. Haven't touched a painkiller since I got on that bus almost 9.5 years ago and now I'm married. Homeowner. Decent car. And working my dream job in the cannabis industry. It's not for everyone. But I literally went from homeless sticking needles in my arm to living a life better than I could have ever imagined. Realized there was more to life than partying and waking up hungover all the time. Edit. I still think it's good to go out and have fun but just make sure to do it in moderation. It's easy to get caught up in that life and forget what's truly important like friends and family and taking care of yourself. Paid off my debts slowly but surely and worked my ass off to buy a house. Took years but it was worth it. Left the cult. Edited to add thanks for the awards and upvotes everybody. Realized my quest to find love wouldn't fix anything wrong with me. Stopped manipulating and using men to try to fill the void in my soul. Treated men like people instead of tools. Actually fell in love and am married to the most wonderful person I've ever met. Edit. Thanks so much for the awards. I got injured in a car accident, rear-ended. Lost my business and my wife of 19 years eventually left for another man. Leaving behind a 17-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son. No job. No car. No money. 2 kids and $2,000 a month in rent coming due. 2 days after she left I took my real estate license test. I passed. I had planned to surprise her but had hid that I was studying in case I failed. Either way it wasn't enough and I ended up taking a job at Amazon. I worked a graveyard shift while my daughter stayed home with my son. I also did open houses on the weekend in hopes someone would walk in unrepresented. It still wasn't enough so I signed up to drive Uber and Lyft. I had been able to pick up a decent vehicle from a family member for cheap and I was in business. I switched my graveyard shift to a day shift and started driving through the nights. The money was alright but I realized I could make a little more if I switched from Amazon to another large company in the area. So I did. I did that for about a year. Things were okay. I was making good money and then Coldwell Banker fired me. I didn't think Coldwell fired anyone as long as they were paying their dues. I had never sold a house so all it meant was I needed to switch to another broker. Turns out that was a blessing in disguise. A friend called on my way to sign with Keller Williams and convinced me to sign with a temp agency. I was skeptical but what did I have to lose? The first and second day I was placed with Toll Brothers. It was alright and I could see myself doing that. On the third day I was sent to a local developer and my world was changed. The broker of record and the local developer took me under their wing. After a few months they hired me away from my temp broker. Gave me a salary and commissions and provided me with an opportunity to change my kids' lives forever. I was able to go from working 4 jobs to just 1 and I have learned more about myself than I could have ever imagined possible. It's been 3.5 long years but I wouldn't change a thing if I could. I wasn't happy. Lost weight. Shaved head. Got tattoos. Travel more. Complain less. Everything I do is for myself. I have a long way to go. If it's me trying to impress someone it never sticks. You have to want to do it yourself. I heavily reduced sugar when I was 21 and started resistance training. 2 years later and I am feeling the best I have ever felt. Have so much energy and self-confidence because I actually like the way I look now. Clothes fit so much better as well. Moving out of my parents' house. I was living with my parents, which is very common thing in India, until end of my med school. I've been in my comfort zone all my life and had everything I need. That led to depression and all I wanted is to live by myself and to get out of my bubble. Now, I can't say I figured it all but I definitely feel better. Lost 15 kilos. Edit. No, it wasn't cocaine. I was 12. Pretty sure I lost around 10 kilograms of cum. Quite recently. I deleted Facebook. Deleted Instagram and Snapchat. I now only use Twitter and Reddit. I stopped making an effort to those who don't for me. I cut out the toxic people in my life and I surrounded myself with positivity and care. Find a 1996 Honda Civic with a clean title and low miles. Gave Facebook, TikTok, etc. a week off. Then 2 weeks. Then never went back. Went to a sober living and got clean. Decided it's okay to put yourself first no matter what. I don't mean that go ahead and cheat and lie for your benefits. For example, I was seeing this toxic person for some time and I was the one always compromising and making efforts. When things finally ended, I chose to cut off all contact from that person while they wanted to remain in touch, for support or validation. I felt bad and selfish while doing it but starting to feel better about myself now that that person is out of my life. You need to be selfish if the other person is being selfish too. Started going to therapy. Slowly realized that I have to think about myself too. Started going to gym, setting boundaries, eating foods I like and every day I tried to do one thing that made me happy. And I finally got the courage to go to school and study something I actually like. Stopped smoking weed. Went to an army psychiatrist who focuses on PTSD. Taking vitamin D3, for a bad deficiency, and quitting my job with a verbally abusive boss to better my mental health. Refused to be another statistic. Never stayed complacent. Allowed myself to be uncomfortable and enter scary unknown territory for personal and professional growth. Oh, and I got pets and they make me so happy. And they make me want to do better so I can get them nice things like a big backyard and lots of toys lol. Leaving TikTok. Went from just partying hard on the weekends to partying hard every day to losing my job from partying hard. Drug test failed for coke. From there it turned to meth. Really low point. One day, I had an epiphany and realized that it wasn't one I wanted. And that I've seen people go down similar paths. Actively seeked help. Changed friend groups. Stayed in. Got clean and am now doing okay. Can't say I'm doing great. But my future is looking better every day. Even if it's only slightly. The addiction is still affecting me. Even after all this time. It's caused insomnia and depression. Along with anxiety. Things I didn't have before doing coke, meth. Lived in Detroit. Skies are gray. Got laid off because management made an absolute mess out of the merger. Next door neighbor got murdered. Decided the city will be the death of me and my happiness. 2. Sold the house. Bought a van. Moved to L.A. Went to school. Now I am doing some of the coolest shit imaginable. A number of publications. Trips to the jungle. Exploring uncharted caves. Meeting celebs. Jumping out of airplanes. Presenting at academic conferences. Now trying to get into a Ph.D. program in archaeology. That's it in a nutshell. Short answer. Support network. Without my dad I'd be dead. Now my fiancé is helping me learn how to be happy. Long answer. Left an abusive home. Went to university at 18. Got lost in a black hole of depression. Drugs and debt for 3 years. Dropped out. Literally can't even remember half of it. Broke. Desperate. I called up my estranged dad and he helped me get back on my feet. Gave me a loan and kept me alive while I battled daily suicidal ideation and worked part-time. Eventually graduated. Now I'm 30 and my fiancé is supporting me while I go through therapy. I even have some money in savings and we're talking about buying a home. Realizing I don't have to act like someone I am not just to be liked by everyone. Changed my life choices and it made me a much happier man. I wish I've done it sooner and not on my late 20s. So much wasted time. Eating healthier, sleeping well, and exercising regularly. The benefits of those 3 are so noticeable. You feel more energized and motivated. Went to the gym. It helped me break out of OCD-induced psychosis and brought me back to reality and have been going every day since. Had to replace it with exercising in the park during the peak of COVID though. Met a really nice girl. She generously gave me far more compassion, kindness and patience than a wretched creature like me deserved. Over time she changed me. I put down the bottle. I abandoned all my vices. I got clean. I couldn't have done it without her. Still clean to this day. My old school was absolute shit. My teachers were incompetent and were fueling my mental health issues rather than helping me with them. Ran away from home after a fight with my mom. Lived in a governmental institution for kids and teenagers for 6 months and changed schools. I'm a student of a Christian private school now, not Catholic though. Sounds worse than it is. And I finished therapy. My teachers here really care about their students and want them to be good and happy. Changed my grades from an average of 4 in Germany 1 is the best and 5/6 is the worst to a 2.0 and am back at home with my mom. Never been happier in my life. Leaving Tumblr. I had been brainwashed into one of the most insufferable people. Boycotting everything. Tirades about inequality regardless of the appropriateness. The hive mind mentality was making me a bad person who thought I was always right and just. I'm happier now that I got out of there and people actually like being around me. I have friends again. Most importantly though, I'm enjoying the world without constantly spitting venom at anything that isn't the perfect utopia Project Heart. I haven't quit my job. In 2010 my job moved to a different city. And I had to follow because the money was good, or so I thought. 12-hour swing shifts with 90-minute ride each way. Town was a total shithole. Rents were crazy expensive if you didn't want to live in the hood. Ended up working for net zero after bills and expenses. Child support. Living in an apartment with no furniture. After 2 years I had enough. Learned to day trade. Put my savings into it. Doubled it. In a bull market everyone's a genius. Now that my kids are out of college, My bills are absurdly low. Learned to live cheap. Inherited a house. Sold it. Now my investments are under professional management. Drove a forklift for a while. Cool gig. I know people don't like to hear this. But money is important. If your debt-to-income (DTI) ratio is 100%. It doesn't matter if you're earning $500,000 or working in the food court. You're still broke. People would say I wish I had those problems. But you really don't. But if you're earning $5,000 a month, $60,000 per year before tax, and your bills are only $1,000 a month, you're doing better than the $500,000 guy who is struggling to afford his lavish house and unnecessary cars. He looks like a baller. But trust me, he's losing sleep. If that job goes ka-flooey, he's fucked. Presently, I could throw a dart at the map and go live there. Provided it's a second-tier city with low taxes. Learn to cook. Don't buy extravagant cars. I haven't gone on vacation in 5 years, because I'm on permanent vacation. All that shit adds up. And if I spend like a fool, I'll have to go back to working somewhere to earn money to pay on shit I don't care to own. More importantly, being chained to a clock and selling my remaining hours, which are finite. Or, one morning I can just get up and call the realtor and put my place on the market and drive to Idaho. Or Salt Lake. Or Santa Fe. And look for something else. That's the best happiness I ever found. Being unchained from any responsibilities and having realistic expectations for basic comforts. My ex-wife and her current husband spend way over $100,000 a year trying to afford a, admittedly nice, house. And they're fucking miserable. Always cash broke but trying to afford more shit. Like expensive vacations, bird baths and little windmills for the yard. So they can brag to their coworkers how well they're doing. Then collapse on the couch and wait for the next workday. And do it all over again in jobs they hate. 270 days a year. He's still gonna be paying on that house till he's 80. Fuck that. One of the best things that ever happened to me was when my life turned to shit. The only true freedom that you find is when you realize and come to terms with the fact that you are completely and unapologetically fucked. And then you are free to float around the system. Doug Stanhope. There is so much positivity in this post. I can't stop upvoting lol. Had to move around a lot as a child. Went to 4 different primary schools, UK, due to my dad's job. Was always a hard-working and competitive student. Landed into my final primary school in year 5, around 9/10 of a year old. And being the new kid alongside wanting to do well in studies led to me getting bullied. It was awful. People had always been so supportive of my good grades and ability in the past. Why were these people different? I tried to keep to myself, but they always knew how to find you. And people who I thought were my friends were actually instigating things to harm me. Went to high school with a couple of guys who I thought were my friends. Decided to reinvent myself and became a little shit in a hope that I wouldn't get bullied anymore. Stopped caring about grades and paying attention in class. Eventually led to me bunking off school in the middle of the school day to go and play games in the town center. Got caught by the police on the way in and they rang my mom, who didn't believe them, as had always been so good before, and went ape shit at me. She made me move school, again, and then I walked this line of doing the minimum I needed to pass to go to college and goofing off to impress my friends and not get bullied, which did work. Eventually I went to uni and graduated from graphic design in 2009. During the recession, managed to do a few odds and ends here and there and eventually landed a full-time design job in 2011 which paid peanuts, because they could. In-house job. Not much scope for promotion. Very small team. Had dreams of working for a gaming developer like Valve or Rockstar. But never did anything in my free time to pursue this. Realized at about age 24/25 that it wasn't right for me to lack any passion about my work. I had my hobbies which I enjoyed. But I felt very unfulfilled day to day. Decided to go back to the drawing board and figure out what I wanted to do, work with people. Something people-facing. Something more science-based. Something more mentally stimulating. Eventually clicked into medicine. Always been interested watching TV shows and docu-series on it. I knew I was smart enough to do medicine. But was worried my past, no A levels. A 2 degree, would hold me back, which it did-ish. Found out there was a couple of places I could apply. A hard entrance exam, for someone from a non-science background, was an obstacle, the GAMSAT, and I applied the first time without success while staying at my design job. At the same time I had started volunteering at my local hospital and picked up a part-time job as a support worker for an adult with learning disabilities. Unfortunately I wasn't successful. But I knew this was something I wanted to do. I had become passionate about wanting to get in. So I left my design job to become a full-time healthcare assistant at my local hospital. It was a baptism of fire and I nearly walked away early on. But I'm glad I stuck it out as I learned an incredible amount from just doing that job. We do a lot more than wash patients and wipe bums. My second application, whilst better on the entrance exam, also fell short. Unfortunately my 2 degree was really limiting my options and making it more difficult to get into med school. I decided to do a master's degree to open up some extra options and hopefully make it easier. So I did a full-time master's degree, alongside working practically full-time as a HCA, alongside my part-time support worker job. My work were really supportive and gave me fixed hours so I could do uni stuff Monday to Thursday and work Friday to Sunday, 14 5-hour shifts. Do not miss them. Fortunately the master's was pretty straightforward and varied enough to keep me interested, and I managed to write my dissertation on one of my other passions, which is esports. Once I finished my master's I applied again. I managed to just scrape in on the entrance exam score for the GAMSAT and did alright at the UKCAT and managed to land 4 quarters interviews. I was over the moon and felt pretty confident at least one of the unis would give me an offer. Eventually, after 1 rejection and 3 waiting list places, and eventually another rejection, I received an offer to study medicine. 3 to 4 years of hard work and experience had paid off and I was on my way to becoming a doctor. I cried with happiness in the toilets at work when I received my offer. I'm in my final year of med school now. I've managed to pass all my exams first time, and whilst I'm not going to graduate with honors or anything like that, I'm pleased that I've managed to find something I'm passionate about and that I am fulfilling my academic potential. I was lucky to have supportive friends and family and to not be tied down to a mortgage or kids, as I would have found it even more difficult. Sorry for the long post. TL. Doctor. Got bullied as a kid. Disregarded my schooling as a result. Landed in a career I didn't enjoy. Decided to apply and managed to get into med school. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.